Hello, and welcome back to the Spiritual Unicorn. I am your host, Ali Star Dreamly. Today we are talking about the ego. Now, the thing with the ego, if you don't know about the ego, I'd say Google it. But when I Google it, it's a lot of just like how you see yourself, how you think others perceive you. It's your ego. Now, when I started getting into shadow work and witchcraft and even mental health on a more, spiritual level, I kept seeing things about like, you need to kill off your ego, you need to get rid of your ego. And so that's kind of the road I started taking, was this, let's kill off my ego, let's get rid of it. It's not serving me, so I thought. And if I'm honest, it really just led me down this path of beating myself up even more than I already was. My ego really was just being really hard on myself. My ego to me is a lot of things. Honestly, if you follow my music career and you've heard me talk or have seen the name Lucy, that's my ego. She's a character I made that just really represented my ego, how I saw myself, how others saw me, just kind of this monster, villain, evil person, the devil. I tried destroying my ego. I tried getting rid of my ego. I really don't think it helped. I really do feel like I just continued to be hard on myself. I continued to hurt myself more. I wasn't healing in the way that I feel spirituality is meant to do. For me, spirituality is really about healing myself and the things that are hard for me to deal with and connect with, and it's really helped me gain a more positive perspective. And what's allowed me to finally get to this point of really being self-aware and conscious and spiritual and aligned and blah, 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 all that stuff, is befriending my ego. I really feel like whatever moment it was that I decided to stop killing it and start befriending it, which for me I think was the moment I made the character Lucy. I think that was the moment I really helped myself. My ego, I always saw as bad. And I was always told, or at least seen, these posts about how you need to get rid of your ego. Your ego is bad. It holds you back and just all these things. But ever since befriending my ego, I really feel like it's the opposite. I feel like I'm finally motivated in all the right ways. I feel like I finally have a full vision of who I am and what I fucking want. It's helped me to accept things about myself that I can't really change, and that I don't need to. Lucy, my ego, is sensitive. My whole life saw my sensitivity as something bad. I'm too sensitive. That's bad. Yeah, it's good because I'm an artist, but it's bad. I'm bad. But my ego and befriending it and making the character Lucy has made me realize, no, it's a strength. Yeah, at moments it can be a weakness, but it's a strength nonetheless. You know, I'm a big believer in whatever your strength is, it is also your weakness. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. And for me, that's sensitivity. And befriending Lucy and befriending my ego and really getting to know that part of myself, it gave me so much confidence. It gave me so much connection. It helped me see myself in a more empathetic view. I really, really want to talk about this meditation I had. For a long time, anytime I'd start to drift into a sort of daydreamy-like state, I'd reject it because my imagination would wander. And I felt like that was bad. Like, that shouldn't happen. My mind should be blank, blah, 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 blah. Recently, of last probably a few months ago, Lucy popped into a meditation. I was doing my favorite meditation, a spiral meditation. It was actually the first time I ever done it. And it was during a group. I was in a DBT group for a while. And we would do daily meditation. And I still am very addicted to this one meditation. It's called the Spiral Staircase Meditation. It's like 5 minutes. And the first time we did it was just, it was like a meditation I had always wanted to have. It was so vivid. It was so intense. But Lucy was there. And so was my younger inner child. You know, I call her Little Allie. She was there. And I followed them down the staircase, and it led me to my core, and I looked around, and I got to really know myself. And ever since then, I've been doing that meditation and entering different parts of my body, entering different chakras. And there are so many parts to me that I didn't think I realized were that full of life and that full in general. And it's given me so much hope, and my ego guided me there. Lucy guided me there. And I think because I befriended her, because I finally gave her a voice, because I finally let her just be, I finally acknowledged her without letting her fully control me. I became her equal, and I became her friend. And she guided me to so much more of me. My ego helped me see my worth. My ego has helped me cut off things that are not good for me. My ego has helped me. And that's why I think we shouldn't kill off our ego. I think we should befriend it. You know, I believe in balance. And I believe there is a reason humans have an ego. If anything, it's a feeling. That's what my mom says. She's like, I always saw it as a feeling. And I love that. Because a feeling it can be temporary. And your ego, to me, can change and shift. And is a lot like your mood. It's affected by your mood. It's affected by your thoughts. It is your thoughts. But by befriending all those thoughts and befriending your ego, you really can gain so much more of yourself. And if control is what you feel you need over yourself, which sometimes I do, this may help. I'm a lot more aware. I'm a lot more willing to work to be better. I'm a lot healthier. And I mean, that's not just befriending my ego, and that's also not just spirituality. That's mental health work and DBT group. And so I recommend those things. I know that not everyone can have access to those things, so I 100% recommend you YouTube or you Google DBT skills. Okay, there are tons of videos. They help you to cope. You might try some things out and go, this doesn't work, what the fuck? You have to keep doing them. Just keep with it. There are books, there are just all these things. So, it's out there. You just have to look, and I know it's hard. But that's also another reason I hope that we can start to gain a little community through this podcast, and you guys can talk in the comments and maybe, give some coping advice or advice on what, how maybe you've learned to heal and to inspire others, because that's really a part of why I'm doing this is, and why I also want to talk about this topic especially was just, I feel there's a lot of information out there about spirituality. And sometimes I think it can feel like you're being told you have to do this, you have to do that, or else you won't be spiritual, you won't vibrate high, you won't be good enough. I feel like sometimes this spiritual journey that's supposed to be helping you can end up harming you, because there's this expectation when you're kind of starting to get into this. This is what I feel, this doesn't mean it's reality, but for me, reading all those books and the articles and growing and learning, there was just a lot of, this is how it's done, this is how it should be, and when it didn't work, sometimes I felt like I was a failure. And again, that's a little bit part of my ego. So I think that's part of why I want to make this, is just to show that there's many ways to do things. We are all different. Okay? Yes, we are all the same. I'm a believer that we are all different and we are all the same. And I just believe that there's not a one-size-fits-all, especially when it comes to spirituality. And that maybe there are people out there who killing off their ego was really good for them. And that's fucking great. I'm so happy for them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that if you've been trying and it doesn't feel right, and it feels like it's just kind of destroying who you are fully, to kill off that part of yourself, I think it's totally okay to sort of step back, readjust, and take a different path. Okay, we can't seem to really kill off our ego. Maybe we as a person just can't, and we're not supposed to. Maybe we're meant to be friended. And for me, it's been the smartest thing I ever did. I'm so happy I befriended my ego, because she's opened me up spiritually and creatively, and I'm so grateful for it. And for others, that may not be their experience. Their ego may be really harmful to them, and they may have to kill it off. But I don't know, because I'm not them, But that's why I want to start this little community, so we all can say our experiences. We can be open to each other's experiences and know that there's more than one way to be on this earth. This universe. It's so vast and so big. It is so silly to think there's only one full way to be. With your ego being your best friend, you also have to set boundaries as you would with friends. A healthy relationship, there will always be boundaries. You always have to communicate them, and you'll have to be open. The ego doesn't always care about boundaries, and the ego doesn't always listen. But when you befriend your ego, it is easier to communicate to it. It is easier to understand it, why maybe it's acting out the way it is, why you're acting out the way you are. And it's more likely to listen. For me, I think Lucy understands, and I definitely understand her. And sometimes she likes to get me in trouble and make me believe that I'm capable of certain things or that I should do certain things, and then I do them and I don't like it. And so I've recently, even just now, it's really hitting me that it's up to me and all the other parts of me that she's shown to make sure she knows this is a boundary. You're not crossing it. We're working hard. We're working our fucking ass off to get this shit done. We're working our ass off to make our dreams come true. We're working our ass off spiritually, mentally, physically to be a better person, so that if we have kids one day, we can give them the life they deserve. So that when we become famous one day, we can inspire little girls like us and help them deal and cope in ways we didn't get to when we were young. And so I need you, ego, Miss Lucy, to not get in the fucking way of that. You are so helpful when you help us stay focused. So don't get in our fucking way. And sometimes you have to have those conversations with yourself. In your head, out loud. I do it out loud. I'm a little nuts. But I do it. And it's so fucking helpful. It's so fucking helpful to sit my ass down, my fucking ego self, look Lucy in the eye and be like, bitch, stop getting in our fucking way. You don't need to prove this right now. You don't need to worry about this right now. You don't need to put us down like that right now. Get out of our own fucking way. So, that's my relationship with my ego. That's how I see my ego. Other people's egos are always interesting. And again, everyone's different. I've met some people where I'm like, I don't know if you should befriend your ego. You're kind of a dick. Because it is so big. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I really want to hear from you guys, from other people, about what they think about the ego. How do you see your ego? Do you see it as a part of you? Do you see it as a separate thing you need to get rid of? Do you see it as something holding you back? Do you see it as something that can help launch you forward? Do you see it as a balance? Because I like to think I see it as a balance of like, this thing can be really helpful, but it can also be, get in the way. And so it's a balancing game, and you really have to know yourself to play that balancing game. And that's the biggest thing with ego. Is you just have to know yourself. You have to get to know yourself. And there's going to be parts of ego you really don't like. Parts of Lucy I get really frustrated with and wish I wasn't like. Sometimes I wish I wasn't sensitive. Sometimes I wish I wasn't so angry. I have a temper. I'm really quick to get angry. I wish I wasn't so hard on myself. But when I learned to accept all these things and I started working on them with my ego instead of against my ego. It just all worked out. I feel like I'm repeating myself now. I really don't know what else to say on the ego. I feel like I could talk about other people's egos, but that just feels wrong. Because again, I can really only speak about my experience with my ego fully and truthfully. To speak on anyone else's ego just feels feels malicious, feels rude. I kind of did in the last episode with my spiritual energy vampire, but at least I think, I don't know, he had a big ego. I wonder if I'll ever run into that guy again. Sometimes I think about that. If I ever do, maybe I'll have him on a show and he can help me see his point of views and where he is. And maybe he'll be in a different place. That'd be kind of fun. Having a spiritual energy vampire on the show. Anyway. I actually really would like to have an energy vampire on the show. I know that sounds weird. But I know there are vampires out there. I know there are. There are people that call themselves vampires, and they do feed off people's energy. And I don't want to disrespect them in whatever culture they've created. The only anger I have toward energy vampires are ones that I did not consent to drain my energy, so get the fuck out. But I don't know. Maybe I can have an energy vampire on the show, and they can help me fully understand the concept, and maybe help me see a lighter side to it, or maybe it's all just shits and giggles. I have no idea. But yeah, what do you guys want to hear? What do you want to hear me talk about? Who do you want to have on the show? Do you know someone? Do you know an energy vampire? Do you know an empath? Do you know medium? Are you a medium? Are you an empath? Do you want to be on the show? Let me know. Also, again, let me know in the comments what you think about ego. What is your experience with your ego? What do you think? I just want to hear all of your guys' thoughts and your spiritual journeys. I want to hear it all. So let me know. You can always comment me, DM me on Instagram. I have an Instagram for this lovely podcast called at the Spiritual Unicorn Podcast. Real easy. So you can always DM me there or comment on one of the posts. You can comment under this video. Just let me know. I want to hear from y'all. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I don't really know what else I have to say about the ego. I also sort of put this off for a long time. And now I'm recording on the same day I'm supposed to be releasing this. So I have to finish editing and all that. So I think I'm going to end it here. I think it's a little shorter than last week's episode. But, you know. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a splendid week. Bye. I need an outro. I don't know what to say. Let me know what my outro should be. There we go. Comment that in the comments. What should I say in my outro? Bye, unicorns? I don't know.